Well, I was real fortunate because when my mother would work, she would drop me off at my great aunt, who was born in the 1880s, and she didn't talk a whole lot of English. She made me catch her animals, made certain kind of fish I had to go catch for her. She'd take some plants and crumble them up and shove them in my face and say, "You smell that?" And I'll go find it. She was my first teacher. And one thing she kept pressing in my head was when I would learn something, I was bound to teach it to somebody else. I rode with outlaws, I did all kinds of stuff I probably shouldn't have done. And then so when I went to college, I was able to get a teaching certificate. In our tribe, I was the first one to ever graduate from college. The Indian Education Act came out in 1972. There was some older Indian women that wanted that program in Grand Rapids, so they went to the Grand Rapids public schools, allowed natives to have some say in the education of their children. A group of older Indian native women came and asked me if I would start a school for their kids, and then I said, "Now wait a minute, you want me to do this?" And they said, "Yes, we do." And I remember the first day of school, there was probably about 12, 15 kids. And the second day of school on Tuesday, there was probably about 20, 25 kids, because they went out in the community and told the other kids, "Here's this long-haired, Harley-riding biker that's going to be your teacher." And the third day, I had 30, 35 kids. And I still remember on that Wednesday, I come into class and I looked at these kids and they looked back at me. I could see, I could see mirrors in their eyes. And what do you see when you see a mirror? You see yourself. But I looked at these kids and I thought, if I'm going to be their example, I have to be their example. At one time, Grand Rapids had a 78% dropout rate with Native kids. I took that dropout rate from 78%, I took it down to 1%. And that kind of upset me though, because I couldn't figure out who the 1% was. Well, my fascination started in the museum when I was a little tiny boy, when my mother would take me to the museum and I would spend hours and hours there. That when I got old enough, I went there by myself and I would just go from room to room. And then when I started teaching, that was I was summer school principal for 13 years. That was one of our stops. If you're not part of that inner circle, you're always on the outside looking in. And lo and behold, the museum people invited me in their circle, so it's kind of like I infiltrated them, At one point, they actually put me on the board of trustees. They know that they're going to get the truth from me, so the museum isn't limited to one culture. And it has a lot of history here, and it has a lot of kids who come in here and say, well, that was when my grandfather or great-grandfather lived, and these are some of these old things. Look how they did things, it connects us with the past. In Grand Rapids, there's probably 3,000 Native people, but right now there's less than 300 that actually are from here. The other ones come from all parts of North America, so there is a core of us that our roots go right to this river. I come from this river, and this river was what sustained me and my ancestors' life here, I'm very, very connected to Grand Rapids, When I leave here, and not just my doing, but everybody's doing, is it just to be a better place than we found it. And Grand Rapids is headed in that direction. There's a lot of leaders that are aware of this, and they're working hard to make this a better community, and that will only make the next generation, they'll be in a better place than their grandfathers and great-grandfathers and such,